Hi, everyone. I am Marcus, Developer Relations, working on building the graph every day with Edge and Node. And today we have K3 Labs here. Today we have Ivan and John. Ivan, John, welcome to the Graph Builders office hours. How you doing today? I'm going to be getting the stream set up and getting all the chat windows set together. So as I'm doing that, if you wouldn't mind just like saying hi to everybody and giving the audience a quick introduction of who you guys are and what brought you guys to blockchain.
Okay, I'll start. So I kind of started when Bitcoin was the only coin that you could work with. You could send it over to somebody and you could gamble with it. That was pretty much it. So it's been a long journey since then, and I had a couple of successful exits as well in the blockchain space. So I've been building blockchain companies since 2014. And during that time, I've learned a lot that I think kind of culminated now with the K3 Labs being formed and bringing all kinds of different use cases now towards our community and our users and the builders on our platform. Hopefully, I'll showcase this a bit later and I'll talk a bit more about K3, but I'll let John introduce himself as well.
Yeah, just really quick. I've been in Web3 space since about 2021. So I actually worked with the founders previously in Ivan and just been really excited what they're building. So been happy to join them.
Awesome, awesome. The full background, we had a chat earlier this week, and there was actually a cancellation for this week's show. And I said, "Hey, there's an availability into what you guys are doing." And you asked, "Hey, have you seen what we're building?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And you sent over a link, and I was like, "Oh, oh, this is cool." So I got very excited. And I'm happy that you're in the blockchain space because what you're building is quite impressive. Before we get into what we're going to be doing with you and K3 showing off, I'd like just to share with the community out there and anyone a quick announcement. If anyone out there hasn't used Token API just yet, go ahead. Use Token API. It's a new product from the Graph, and it allows wallet and blockchain data access. Basically, wallet access. You're looking at a really, really easy way to get data into your DApp from many chains that we are currently extending even further. We're trying to get more features, more chains. We have a feature announcement coming up in the next few days, which is quite exciting there too. So we are pushing into that product called Token API, and we hopefully can get that into the hands of a lot of builders like yourself. So that is the only announcement today. Token API is the only announcement for now that that's out of the way. Let's go ahead and bring it back to you guys. Ivan, John, what do you have to share with us today? I know that there was a recent the Graph integration with your product, and I want to see, how however you think it's best to go through and show the audience how you're building with the Graph.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about the APIs and the Graph API that you just mentioned, using APIs is not always simple. You have to be either a developer or you have to be skilled with ChatGPT to understand it and to be able to integrate it in your daily workflow. And we also know that Web3 developers are quite expensive. So this is kind of the problem that our company K3 is starting trying to solve. And what we do is workflow automation for Web3, and it's a no-code drag and drop platform that allows anybody to interact with APIs such as the Graph, such as normal regular Web2 APIs like Facebook, Twitter, or your internal database, and basically do that in a nice and a simple way. And today, what I wanted to show you is how our platform works. And before doing that, I would invite everybody to go ahead and go to k3-labs.com and they can sign up and create an account. It's completely free. They can use it, try it out. Hopefully, you can break something and come back with an improvement for us or a feature request or anybody from the Graph community if they see a cool use case that want to implement, we can do that. So I'll switch over to my other tab here, where I'm already logged in. So maybe a short introduction on how K3 Labs works from technical perspective, although not always the most
Real quick,
interesting.
Ivan, can you make the screen a little bit bigger, just in case someone's watching on mobile or someone's watching on a smaller screen? Yeah,
I
perfect.
sure can.
Yeah, keep on going a little bit bigger, maybe. Yeah, that's probably best. Okay, cool.
That was already a test to break our responsive design.
Yes.
So
yes. We've passed.
as you can see, it's really good. So what I wanted to say is that just a short introduction. All the workflows that you see that we are running here are actually being executed on a decentralized compute infrastructure, which is supported by EigenLayer, and basically allows a non-custodial, if you can call it like that, execution of code, or a fully decentralized execution of code. So kind of going into the platform, it's really cool that you can actually start building something by just dragging in things. And everything kind of starts either with you building something from scratch or using one of the predefined templates that we have. And we kind of try to build templates for specific communities if the need arises, if there's a big amount of templates or workflows that a specific community is using, then we convert them into templates and post them here. So you can, for example, see that for EigenLayer, we created a specific set of monitoring templates where you can join a network or leave, and then you get notifications. And we have trading capabilities for Uniswap. Coinbase is also popular. And one of the more advanced DeFi products is also a Fox Finance, where you can stake and yield farm and so on. So let's say you want to actually build your own workflow. We offer you a couple of ways to get started. You can get a scheduled workflow and just execute it as a cron job for developers, or you can just select a specific smart contract event, and then you can hook into that event. So for if you have a smart contract address, you can just paste it in here, and you would get the contract methods populated here, actually events, and then you can listen and kick off the entire workflow. So our background kind of backend is then monitoring that event and then kicks off the entire workflow. And this is where kind of the fun starts. So I won't be building like anything specific here on the live demo, but just kind of show the functionality of the components that we have.
I got a question out also from chat,
Yeah,
and
of
this is
course.
also from myself as well. If you could just since you're going decentralized as much as you can, you're on EigenLayer and using the graph.
Yeah.
The chat is curious where the graph is touching behind the hood, like under the hood right now. We do see the read functions of the graph. Curious if that's the only location, if there's anything else right now in the dashboard.
Okay, currently the graph is one of the options. So you can access the graph by dragging in the graph, and then you can pick your endpoint and you can fill in the graph query that you want, and then it would fetch all the specific data that you get from that query. Or another more developer friendly option is if you drag in an API component, and then you can populate it with really specific payload that you want to use. So you can do a JSON endpoint, which then queries the graph. You can pass in the credentials and you get a response the same way. This would be used if you have a private graph, a subgraph. So you can authorize and you can fetch data. This one is more used for the public subgraphs. Although you could also kind of manipulate the URL to include your authorization in there.
Cool, thank you.
I will show you also one more use case of the graph with our AI components, but maybe just continuing from there, it's really not a big deal. So from the graph, you can actually fetch data from API, you can fetch data. And then more importantly, we allow people to also read from smart contracts. So if I close this and open this one, I could just quickly fetch here a contract address and put it here. You can see that, so this is an Aave smart contract address. So I've just populated this one from the mainnet, and as you can see, you get automatically all the contract methods that you can invoke. And this is really non-developer friendly. So you can just, as a let's call it a normal person, because developers are definitely not normal.
Normie friendly.
Normie friendly, exactly. You can, for example, pick a, let's do something simple. You can pick a name. And when you pick a name, it will query the contract name, and you will see that it's Aave, Ethereum Aave, and you can click save. The really important thing here is that later on, when you're using, for example, smart contract write function, is where you actually spend gas. So if I use the same one, you will see, sorry, on the mainnet. You will this time get only functions that spend gas, so you can write something. And then just to kind of touch the graph again and the APIs and all of this stuff. So if you queried something in your graph and the data was returned, you could use that data in your function calls. In this case, we are calling a mint function. The UI is a bit messed up here due to the zoom, but you could use that read smart contract output, and this would be a name, in this case, a name of the previous contract. And you could use all of this in here.
Wow,
I will
that
try.
is very powerful.
Yeah, I will try to kind of embarrass myself here, and I'll just pull one of the graph queries here, and let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't have an endpoint, unfortunately, here.
Let's see if we can go to Graph Explorer.
Yeah, I'm just on it as well.
Yeah, right. Live coding. That is always the adventure.
So let's see what happens here.
Oh, you got
Okay, it returned an error, which is also fine. I have here on the side my trusty friend ChatGPT, but it actually shows interaction with the graph. So
Yeah.
you can see that the message returned in this case was the endpoint was removed. Okay, so it's an outdated endpoint.
Cool.
But
But
what
it's
I'm
able to
trying
interact
to
with the graph, which is, I mean, that's success. That's amazing.
Yes. So in this case, you could get the data in, and you could, for example, use your notification components here and
Yeah.
write this to Telegram. And in this case, I can select one of the, okay, I don't have it set up, so I'll go with email. In this case, you could actually pass those messages here and say like, what is the status of the graph? Or sorry, status of the graph. And you could add the output of that graph component in here. In this case, it's an error, which is maybe something that doesn't happen to be an error when you query it, but it will also give you a status message back in this case. In the subject, you can use, again, the data from the previous components and do something. So now, like, to kind of not go too deep into this, and I want to show you one more fun thing with the graph, is you can create any kind of workflow here. So you can drag in Uniswap and do automatic trading based on a condition. You can also do Hyperliquid. You can do KyberSwap. You can do just normal token transfers. Like, for example, if you have a hot wallet, as soon as the hot wallet receives tokens, you can transfer those tokens out to your cold storage or vice versa. And to kind of round this up, I wanted to show you the integrations that we support. And Cubist is the wallet of choice that we have. As you have seen, I didn't engage with MetaMask in any way here. So it's all pre-made for
Yeah.
you. It's a non-custodial wallet. All the
Wow.
transactions are pre-authorized for us. So you just set up the automation and it works.
That's a
You
great.
can
I mean,
connect.
this is great. This is.
Yeah,
I dove in some yesterday. It wasn't a problem with your product. I was trying to get the Notion API to work, and it was. I was just amazed. I couldn't get it to the next step, but at the same time, I really having this integration mindset from the beginning, from the very foundation in terms of reading, writing, basically CRUD. You have an entire visual editor right here, and it's. I mean, you could call it no code, but it does have a little. You know what I mean? It's like it's subtle code. It's
yeah,
really well done. It's really well done. It reminds me of, and this is a big compliment, the Zapier comparison that is out there. But you know, Zapier itself doesn't have that kind of Web3 native functionality that I really like with this.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the goal of this entire company, I would say, and that's our mission as well. There's always a saying in crypto or Web3, whatever you want to pick, is, yo, we need to solve the UI UX problem. And then they create one more API or one more SDK and one more wallet that's broken, and they create pretty much the same thing one more time. So we kind of wanted to think outside the box and abstract everything for the user. And now we're even introducing AI components. So if you go here, you can also have a AI-based web scraper. So you can even go to specific sites, scrape news around your token, or scrape a Twitter feed and send it to yourself in a summary through through an AI service
Yeah,
to Telegram daily or weekly or by minute, I
that's
guess, in the
great.
web space,
That's
Web3
great.
space.
I like the AI layer that is in here too. That seems like that's going to be my guess is extended in the next 6 months significantly. Um,
Yeah.
I- I'm curious, the templates that you're building out, where do you find the ideas for these templates? Are you seeing how your current users are using your product and then simply templating that already out? Or are you trying to suggest to people how to use something that you've seen in maybe like a Zapier and you're saying, hey, we could do it here too with a crypto mindset? How do you typically do that?
Yeah, so usually users we are kind of monitoring the top usage of workflows.
Mm,
So we see what's kind of being asked. And at the moment, it's kind of the the biggest use case is maybe the most boring one, but also the strongest one is monitoring. So
yeah.
you can monitor all kinds of smart contract events and react to it. For example, if you have a liquidity pool or a staking pool, you want to set a event on it or a monitoring on it and say like, okay, if there's more than $100,000 in value being moved in my token out from that smart contract, automatically invoke automatically freeze tokens for further movement. So
Hmm.
in case there is a security breach, the token movement would be automatically frozen, and then you have time to engage and to check what actually happened, and
Nice.
then you can resume the transfer. So there's those security monitoring cases as well. But
Mm.
like again, mostly everything is coming from us kind of seeing. There's going to be a new system in the future that I can talk about later, but I also wanted to show you one more thing with the graph and the
Yeah.
AI that we are working on.
Yeah.
Um, Again, in an attempt to do a failed demo here.
That's live streaming. It will always be involved. There will be at least one fail every live stream. It has to be.
This is Web3. We do it all live.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So what I wanted to show you here is that we are adding a AI-based workflow generation. So you can
Nice.
actually generate a workflow by typing in text. And this AI that we have is actually learning and analyzing all the workflows that we have in the database and then finding the best approach. So I could write a query and say, please uh, uh, get me the top tokens by volume on Uniswap. by using the graph and send me the results daily to my email. So if this goes well, there should be a graph component, the graph component inside here, and it should have a correct query, but I don't think that's happening. Get the it's supposed to be 2. I'll just rename it a bit. No, I was too fast. It's generating.
There we
Okay.
go.
I didn't let him think. So as you can see, it's kind of scheduling the workflow to run daily, and then yeah, okay, there is no query here. So we tried, we tried, but this is how the query should have
It's
looked
really
like.
impressive. I mean, this is, how long have you guys been in production?
So again, just for a small disclaimer, this is not a productive system. This is a development. So I just wanted to
Okay.
briefly show you the usage of the graph. But in production, we've been only 4 months, I would say.
Cool.
And we are getting closer to, I would say, almost 600 companies / individuals using our platform to automate their daily workflows.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, DevRel, my job is, I have 14, 15 hats in any given day between video production, interviews, coding, repos, business, you name it. So I've already looked into this and being like, oh, like this has applications for me. And just to confirm, this, if you allow it, I just want, this is maybe an assumption. I just want to be clear with this. Can this make transactions for me? If I see a trigger and I'm like, hey, I want this to happen, can it sign transactions, or is that not available?
Yes.
It can.
So this is exactly the workflow that I picked here by accident.
Okay. I just
So
wanted to
you
confirm
can,
that for myself and the audience, because that is
yes.
if you can programmatically do that off of whatever trigger that you'd like to define, not only just providing news or information to your Telegram, but to actually do quick transactions, that's really, really amazing.
Yes, so this is exactly how it works. So you would use the token transfer component. So in this wallet, I don't have any tokens at the moment.
Sure.
It's a test token, but you would select a mainnet or whatever blockchain you have here. You would select your Cubist wallet, and then you would be able to transfer out an amount to a recipient address. And in this case, it's actually sending it. If the balance of the wallet goes below 10 Ethereum, then it would send out more. But what I wanted to say is this is maybe not like as a single case, this is not so interesting. But imagine if you're a CFO, so you manage 50 or 60 or 70
Yeah.
wallets for your company. You have to keep track of all of them, and you have to keep everything organized and have all the transactions monitored and scheduled and so on. Then there's the payroll, then there's the expenses and so on.
Yep.
And a lot of companies, for example, have token vestings. So you could, what CFOs usually use the platform for is you can call the claim, for example, if you invested in 50 different tokens, you can automatically call the claim method on the vesting contract, get the tokens in your wallet, swap them for Ethereum or for USDT, and send it to your cold storage. So as a company, maybe that's a use case more for liquid funds that they are using it. They invest in like 50 different projects. Vestings unlock every day. And if they want to kind of slowly ease out of their position and turn it into a more liquid one, then this is what you would use.
This is great. My question, first off, amazing demo, and I fully understand what this is. It's already a playground. I already understand it, and also smart job designing the UI to feel similar and familiar with other products out there, yet remaining different. Like that's a tough thing because you're using visual language that people understand already, as opposed to trying to do a brand new visual language and having to teach that. So this is really well done. The question I have is when, and this is something maybe that could be done now or in the future, when any of these workflows are built and they become kind of critical to a company's function, such as with a CFO and how they handle certain actions with smart contracts, would these be able to be viewed publicly by the company itself? Let's say there's a way to have a view to say, hey, this is the way that this is handled. This is not in code, because sometimes when it's in code, it's very confusing for normies. But I was just like thinking, hey, if a CFO has an automation that's already baked in, that would be powerful. But anyways, those are other feature ideas. I already in my mind, I saw this first. And I was like,
This feature is actually, I didn't want to disclose it here, but this is exactly the next feature that is coming. Is that yes? So people will actually be able to create workflows and then publish it publicly.
cool.
And the best thing in the entire story is if somebody uses your template, you actually earn money. So you
Oh,
as a
very
template
cool.
creator, because it's kind of a networking event and you're also a marketer for us. If
Wow, that's
somebody
very cool.
uses that workflow, you earn literally dollars. You can cash it out, and
That's
that's it.
awesome. That's a great, great feature. All right, we got some alpha here, everyone. Boys and girls, we got some alpha. Well, I mean, great presentation. I already see a few use cases for myself personally. And honestly, like just managing the amount of information from various sources and being able to plug in to different integrations easily, Slack, Telegram, and then any just Web2 API, smart contract integration, like that's really well done. So kudos to you and
Yes,
the
you
team.
can have a whole overview of each of the wallets, each of the workflows. You can go
Cool.
even more technical here if you want. You can
Mm-hmm.
see the latest runs. You can trigger the workflows from outside. You can see all
Ooh,
the
that's cool.
histories,
You
remote
could,
logs.
oh, wow.
You can see all the executions, but that's more for
Sure.
techies. So I usually hide this and don't show it
No, you
in
got a
the
techie
other
audience here.
demos.
This is the audience to get excited with techie
Okay, yeah, you
stuff.
can
Yeah.
see remote executions. So on the EigenLayer and on our nodes, you can actually see the full logs, and everything is ZK provable in the end.
Wow.
And it's a pretty cool system, I would
That's
say.
very cool. How big is your team? That's very impressive.
We are a small team, but a very motivated, let's call it like that.
You guys are cracked. Let's just say that. You guys are cracked.
Exactly. We are cooking day and night.
Well, amazing. I'm really happy about the graph integration personally, and also this is a product I want to dive into and get to know a little bit better because I feel that it would be helpful for me personally. So that's really cool. Would now be a good time for some questions? I got some questions.
Of course,
Yeah,
always.
awesome. So I'll read these through. We got a few in the chat here. Any way to quickly duplicate whole workflow and quickly build splits? This is the current issue in most UI automation builders.
Uh, yes. So I'll answer right away here. You can
Love it.
click duplicate and it will just create a fork of it and you can play around.
Cool. Awesome. Workflow Automation OG here with a question. I
Oh,
saw, quote, on demand. Is this build with on demand? They use capital O and on demand. Seems like a product or something. Or just the way you label your automation start, like N8N, Zapier, Make, or your built your own kind of thing. If no, any plans to interact with other workflow platforms?
that's a good question, but I would say a simple answer. So on demand in our case means that you can trigger the execution of this workflow manually on demand when you want it. So, for example, if you have a really complex workflow that you don't want to be run every day or of the triggers, you would set it as a on demand trigger, and then you could just go here, kind of prepare the whole automation, and just click run, and then it would run this workflow once, and that's it.
Got it. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Another question, how large would this operate? Wondering if it could replace my current custom workflow of making transactions at scale for and my worldly scrapers. What's the cap? Just basically like, Yeah, basically, what's the cap? Like, are
I
there any
guess it's
caps?
more
Yeah,
like on the
limits.
throughput of the workflows. So
Yeah.
there is a limitation. So I would say the biggest cap or the biggest limitation of the systems are the blockchain operations.
Mm,
So if you're only reading the blockchain, if you're reading the graph, if you're reading an API and so on, there's pretty much no cap because everything is really fast and being executed instantly. But if your workflow is including a write operation to smart contract, then it will have to wait. It will kind of block and wait until the transaction is confirmed, and then it can go into the next step. So that's the only kind of blocking one. But from
mm.
the throughput so far, I can say we are not even close to our capacity because we currently have around 32 node operators across globe, and they
Wow.
have pretty big machines. And yeah,
Nice. Nice. The um, chains that you are currently able to, yeah, if we can go over some of those chains, how many chains are you able to get data from?
so we are supporting pretty much all the famous one on EVM, so
Got
Ethereum,
it.
Polygon, Avalanche, Base, and Arbitrum. And then we have Stellar, which we newly added as a more of a cool payment blockchain. And we also have a stability protocol, which is a no gas protocol, which is more interesting to enterprises. And we have a couple of enterprise clients that express that. So you can actually use stability and just write to chain and
Cool.
not actually spend gas from your wallet or pay
That's
for it.
that's the way it needs to be for, I mean, not needs to be, but
That would be ideal.
yes,
Yeah,
I understand gas. I understand we need it.
yeah,
And there's sometimes it would be, I think we're getting better at managing gas in the current state of Web3.
yeah.
Let's see. Question here. What is next in your current technical or marketing roadmap that you could leak here? New features, new chain supported, and that's a great question.
So
And I think leak, hype, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, so I would say the most important there are three features that I see that are really important. First one is the one that you suggested yourself is the
Nice.
public templates.
Yep.
So we will allow communities to build their own templates and market their own templates and also earn money like that. And companies do their own procedures in a more public way. That's one feature. Then we have a second feature, which is a white label version of our platform, which is going to be allowing users, or I would say more um, enterprise users, layer ones that wants to build a system that's only using functions or components from their specific ecosystem. For example, if you're coming from the graph community, you would build only subgraph interactions here or login to your private nodes, or you would have specific graphs that specific queries that you want to just drag and drop in
Mm,
there. So this is how you would kind of white label the solution. And then the third feature that we are really working on is to compete a bit more in the AI space. So we are going to be replacing a couple of components here with a more powerful AI agents, which can then execute transactions for you, that can have more complex analysis of pricing. For example, we have market data, but you
hmm.
can only ask for a price or 24-hour volume or trending. But if you have an AI agent that has access to full market API, you can do queries like, hey, give me the MACD indicator for the last 3 months and plot it into a chart and send it to my email every morning.
Yeah.
So with
That's one
AI agents,
thing.
we add more to it.
That's one thing that I think is really great that we're heading right now with these kind of agents. I've put a lot of thought into this, and I'm sure many other people have too, about agents making transactions for me. And I'm not there yet. I'm not,
Mhm.
I like, it doesn't feel right to me. And I think the way to get there is by learning and communicating well with an agent in kind of a sandbox like this, ensuring that they have the data that is important to myself, because there's no way, Ivan, you would know what's important to me, and there's no way that I know what's important to you. But for me to create a sandbox that an agent would be able to understand context of which is important to me, and then be trained on that over time and gain my trust, that feels like something that is more helpful to me, as opposed to beginning to trust an agent to actually go out there and do things for me. Right now, I'm not going to put my wallet with any agent out there, but I feel like this as a playground would be able to train a model
Yeah.
with, do I want sentiment analysis? Do I want
Risk analysis.
risk analysis? How YOLO am I? Am I YOLO times 10 or am I YOLO times 200? And so how degen, I think there needs to be, there can be a template for this that is the degen template that,
There are a few kind of we call it guard rails that we have around agents. The difference between our kind of workflows in the current state and the agents is that the blockchain and the code that we have here is what you would call deterministic, which means that each code execution is going to be the same. There is a rule that needs to be followed and there is a code. But agents are probabilistic, so you don't know, like there's a probability that it will do this and it will have this output or this output, but it's not 100%, so it's not deterministic. So what you can do with our workflows is you can have an agent within the workflow that has a probabilistic outcome, but then you can add an if statement behind
that
it
makes sense.
and say like, just check what it actually did, and if the value is above 1,000 or below, or if you're trying to send 1,000 Ethereum from my
Sure.
wallet, just make sure that it doesn't go into that direction. So you
1,000
could do
Ethereum
that.
with the wallet based. I know this is going to be news in the next 6 months to a year. An agent rugged me. That's going to be 100% news, where I had an agent and I was confident and it brought me to zero. I know that's going to happen. So blessings to those out there who are in the future that are going to be rugged by agents. But
People are trying to actually rug agents now. There are those agents that control Twitter
sure.
messages, and they're trying to get the Ethereum out. And a couple of them actually did. They persuaded the agent that they are part of the long-standing community and they deserve a reward for it. And
Nice.
the agent was like, "Yeah, here's 10 Ethereum for you. Thank you for your service." I won't name the one, but I think everybody would recognize.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I have to say, this is a wonderful presentation, and I'm going to get into this. I actually brought this up internally to my team, and I was like, hey, we could use this somehow. So I'm doing more research essentially on how we could use this for automations myself. So that's probably the best compliment I can give you, is that I brought this up to the team. I was like, how could we possibly use this? There's too many ways, but it's an incredible 4 months of work, and the fact that it has the graph as a provider of some of the data for the if-then and or operations, kind of thing that you have going on, which is really, really impressive as for technical and non-technical alike. This is an achievement, really, really, really. So I'm getting questions. People want to reach out to you. People want to follow what you do, what the team is doing. I've got questions about, we got another question here. So there we go. Any plans to integrate the Graph MCP? Yeah, so there's an MCP servers in general, I would assume.
Yes, so that is a in plan. So
Okay.
as we kind of scale out the agent support, we will also have a general MCP support.
Nice.
So the graph is on the list, definitely. Yeah, I
Cool.
can just say yes.
Yep, and a little bit of alpha. We do have a new MCP coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. There's MCP mania right now, which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
So let's see. Any other questions? Let's see. Fees. What's the cost for this? That's a good question.
At the moment, it's completely free.
Okay.
So, like I said in the start, I would invite everybody to just go to k3-labs.com, sign up. It's one-click login with GitHub or Google,
Cool.
and you can use it for free.
Cool. Awesome.
So no fees.
Awesome. And yeah, I guess the last question is what about fees being transferred back to workflows being used, like the revenue? Let's say there's a template, and is that going to be in USDC? How's that going to be?
Yes, it's going to be in dollars.
Okay, USD.
Yes, so you
Okay.
would be able to actually pay it out,
Okay.
or you would be able to convert it into more usage. Or for
Hmm.
white label users, if you're like a layer one, you could pay it out in your native token.
Interesting. How are you? How are you doing that? That's pretty damn cool.
It's the magic of EigenLayer and a thing called an AVS. So on
Okay.
EigenLayer, there's an actively validated service where you
Sure.
can run arbitrary code. So we can kind of
Right.
change
Right.
those rules.
That's, I looked into EigenLayer, I think it was a week or two ago, and I was diving into the layers of it. It's pretty damn cool. So I'm impressed with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So if that's everything, great presentation. How can developers in the community reach out to you or your team? Is there a preferred way for them to get in contact with you?
No preferred way. Again, you can go to our landing page here and click on Contact Us,
Okay.
where you get a form and you can, if you're a business, somebody from the business team, John here on the
Sure.
call can guide you to set up something.
Mhm.
But you can also just go to our Twitter or join our Telegram community and ask whatever you want to ask.
Yeah. Shout out to you and your team. Shout out to Lewis, who's been asking some great questions in chat. And
Thanks,
shout out
Louis.
to, yes, great questions as always. And everyone watching on Graph Devs, how's everyone doing on the Graph YouTube? How's everyone doing? Go ahead and give K3 a try. Oh, I gotta ask, why the name K3? That's interesting to me. Is there a
Uh,
story?
not too big of a story.
Okay.
It kind of came from there's a Kubernetes
Yep.
which is called K8, and then we wanted to do like a Web3 version of it, like a
Nice.
decentralized compute workflow, and then it was K3.
Nice.
So
Smart. Smart, smart,
yeah,
smart. Nerdy. I love it.
nerdy. Exactly.
I was thinking initially a K2 reference of the mountain, and
Ah,
this is a bigger mountain than K. I don't know. That was where my first neuron went in my brain. K2. But anyways, thank you so much, Ivan. Thank you so much, John, for your
thank
time
you for having
today.
us.
Really, really excited for what you guys are building. And everyone out there, give this a try. Give this platform a try. Think a little creatively about where it might help you. I got to that first step of thinking, okay, this is truly a playground where you could think a lot of different options. And so use those templates, think creatively, and solve some problems in Web 2, Web 3 world. So anything else you'd like to add to that, Ivan? Anything else you'd like to add to that, John, before we sign off?
No, thank you for listening.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for hopping in to another episode of Graph Builders Office Hours on this Thursday, May 22nd. I will see you guys here next week. All right. Take care, everyone.